What's up everybody, this is Master Ian Gamer. With D.Va's recent PTR changes, there's no doubt that she feels quite different from what many of us are familiar with. So today, I'm going to explain D.Va's new role in Overwatch and how to best utilize her new abilities and nerfed defense matrix. Hopefully, this will help you to get reacquainted with the hero so you can either keep her as your main, or perhaps even pick her up as such for the first time. So let's start with her brand new ability, Micro Missiles. The introduction of this ability to her kit caught many people off guard, myself included. Being a tank, it surprised me that Blizzard was giving her more DPS in the form of these little rockets. However, after playing her for a good bit, I realized what they are going for. As it stands, the old D.Va who lacks these missiles and has 4 whole seconds of defense matrix was being played incorrectly by the masses. That's not to say we weren't utilizing her well, but that we weren't playing the hero as Blizzard had designed her to be played. Honestly, she basically served the same role as Reinhardt, using her defense matrix like a barrier to stop incoming fire and shield her team. However, this isn't what she's supposed to do, at least not exactly. D.Va is a dive menace. She's supposed to be constantly moving around and diving onto prone targets. Of course people were using her like this, especially with the strong standing dive meta, but overall they are predominantly relying on her defense matrix for its ability to eat incoming damage. Again, we were basically playing her how you're supposed to play Reinhardt. So that's why they reduced her defense matrix, which I'll talk more about a little later in this video, and gave her more damage abilities instead. Now, the micro missiles themselves don't do a whole lot of damage. They alone aren't going to be effective at taking out a target. However, perhaps their greatest strength is that they can be used simultaneously with any of her other abilities, being defense matrix, boosting, and normal fusion cannon fire. This is what makes them good. They allow D.Va to deal fairly strong spike damage, which, if used correctly, will be more than enough to take out squishier targets. I found that her best usage with these abilities is to constantly be diving people. Given that you can now also fire her fusion cannons while boosting, all you have to do is pick your target, fly at them while firing both your fusion cannons and micro missiles, and as long as your aim is sufficient, you should be able to kill them. This works best when targeting supports or other heroes who have low health pools. You probably won't be able to deal enough damage this way to kill a fellow tank, but at the very least you'll be a good distraction. And this is how D.Va remains a tank with all these damage buffs. Her presence alone as a large, obnoxious target who, if left unchecked, will be able to deal a lot of damage at close range, demands the enemy's attention. While they focus you, your team will benefit from the averted fire, and just as always, D.Va's large health pool and high mobility means that she'll often be able to escape the fight before losing her mech. But if she does lose her mech, then that's what Pilot D.Va is for. Regardless, having successfully distracted the enemy will hopefully give your team the upper hand in a fight. While diving in this way is the best utilization of D.Va, her new abilities do have other benefits. Given the very short range of effectiveness on her fusion cannons, the micro missiles give her a way to deal damage at longer distances. For example, if you're contesting a point and there is an enemy sniper positioned away from the point, firing your missiles at them could be an effective way to harass them without needing to actually dive onto them and thus abandoning the point. Now keep in mind that the missiles do travel relatively slow, meaning that ranged usage of them won't always be ideal, but is still a good option. Additionally, her ability to shoot while flying makes her much better at dealing with Pharah. Hitting her with the slow-moving missiles can be difficult, but instead, you can just fly at her while using your fusion cannons and still deal a decent amount of damage. So, having now covered the usefulness of her new abilities, let's discuss the newly nerfed defense matrix. While at first I was concerned about this change, I later realized, after hearing the many opinions of both D.Va mains and haters, in addition to my own experiences playing as a D.Va main, that defense matrix is OP. And not in its ability to eat enemy ultimates, but just in how frequently it can be used. As I mentioned before, it could basically supplement a Reinhardt barrier if the player was good at managing it, which isn't at all how D.Va is meant to be played. While the reduced defense matrix uptime is something that will be difficult to get used to, I definitely approve of the change. If anything, it'll just make using it to combat enemy ultimates more skill-based, which I think is generally a good thing. So, what are the big things that you need to do differently with it? For starters, don't waste it on normal enemy fire. With only a 2-second uptime, you'll burn it out incredibly quickly doing this, and thus most likely not have it when you really need to. Instead, you should be saving it for major damage sources or times of crisis. A few things that are good to block with it include fire strikes, sleep darts, helix rockets, and, of course, ultimates. Now, eating enemy ultimates won't be nearly as easy as it used to be. You'll still be able to negate Mei's, Zarya's, and Hanzo's entirely, but it will require good timing and prediction. For Mei and Zarya, keep an eye out for them becoming more aggressive, as that's usually a sign that they're getting ready to ult. And as for Hanzo, well, he usually makes enough noise that if you're near enough to him and quick enough, then eating his shouldn't be much of an issue. However, you will be much less effective at countering many of the other ultimates like you used to. For example, heroes like Reaper, Roadhog, Soldier 76, and Pharah will outlast your defense matrix's 2-second uptime, meaning you flat out can't negate as much from them as before. But this is where D.Va's new micro missiles come back into play again. Since they can be used while using defense matrix, you can now deal damage to the ult source while still covering it. Granted, the missiles alone probably won't be enough to kill the target, which means that you'll also be dependent on the rest of your team to help you eliminate the ulting enemy. Additionally, defense matrix can still be used for other dire situations. If one of your teammates gets hooked by a Roadhog, or you're trying to retreat while your boosters are on cooldown, then the 2 seconds can make a big difference. In this regard, defense matrix should be used just like Zarya's bubbles. Use it to quickly save yourself or a teammate from a damage source, but just be aware that doing so means your ability will more or less be on cooldown for the next several seconds. Interestingly, this new D.Va is in a lot of ways a reversion to how she was back when Overwatch first launched over a year ago. Back then, using defense matrix for any length of time put it on a set 10-second cooldown. The later on introduction of the resource meter was meant to make it more versatile and less exploitable by the enemy, but ultimately, it appears to have just made it so she can keep it up like a semi-permanent barrier. By reducing its uptime but keeping the resource meter, hopefully this will bring her back to the playstyle Blizzard originally intended. While I'm not so sure the game needs another flank tank, as we still have Winston in addition to all the non-tank flankers, I'm glad that she at least has a more appropriate role now. For those of you who saw my previous videos talking about these D.Va changes, then you know that at first I was not in favor of them. I'll admit, hearing that such drastic changes are coming to your most played hero can be quite alarming, and my initial disapproval of the new D.Va was really just a knee-jerk reaction. After playing as her for a good bit on the PTR, I realized that these changes are actually quite fun, once you get used to them. These changes not only move her to a more appropriate role in the game, but also hopefully will bring back Reinhardt to some degree. For a while now, he's been heavily forced out of his own character-defining role by the invasive D.Va, and I for one would love to see him show up more in matches I play. Heck, maybe Orisa will even become a thing for once as well. Anyways, I would encourage anyone with access to the Overwatch PTR who plays a lot of D.Va to just try out her new version, as that will really be the best way to learn how to use her. For anyone unsure, the PTR is only available to PC players, and can be accessed by going to your region in the Blizzard app and selecting Public Test Region. And with that, thank you all for watching, and I really hope this video has helped you to better adjust to the new D.Va. Please comment below with any advice or tips you might have to help out your fellow D.Va players, and vote in today's poll card to share your thoughts about her changes overall. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that bell icon to keep up with all my Overwatch related videos. This is Master Ian Gamer signing off, and until next time, have a great day.